Welcome to the latest episode of the Real World Nutrition Podcast. This is episode 175, Understanding Heart Health Beyond Diet. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Real World Nutrition Podcast. I'm Shelley, registered dietitian nutritionist, and today I want to talk about shifting the conversation on heart health beyond diet. So as many of you know, February is American Heart Month. It's Heart Month around the world. So it's National Heart Month, American Heart Month, it's February. So we often hear about heart disease being the leading cause of death worldwide. So if you haven't heard this before, yes, it is the leading cause of death in the United States for both men and women, more than any other condition, including cancer. But when I said worldwide, I double checked this before I started recording because I was like, is that true? Yes, worldwide, it is the leading cause of death. Now, of course, there's going to be pockets in some countries where other things are contributing or the leading cause of death. But when we look at global statistics, heart disease takes the win here, and not in a good way. Now, as a dietitian, I know that most of us tend to focus on diet, or more specifically, the pattern of eating, what we're eating or what we shouldn't eat when it comes to heart health. And that is definitely important. And I've covered heart healthy eating in a couple of prior episodes. So I have that linked in the show notes. But episode 20 was eating for your heart. Episode 71 was 5 foods for a healthy heart. And there's a couple other episodes I've linked in the show notes. And I just talk about heart health in many aspects of the work I do. And it's come up many times in other episodes. I just don't remember all of them. So just wanted to make that note there. All right, but I'll just do a quick refresher on some of the top heart healthy foods to include. So a lot of people tend to think of what they should cut out, but I am a bigger fan of what to add. So top of the list often is foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids. So omega-3s, people tend to think of salmon, yes, fatty fish, but we have an acronym to remember all the fish that are rich in omega-3s. So we call these the SMASH fish, and an acronym standing for salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring. They're all really good in omega-3s. Also, flax seeds and walnuts are rich in omega-3s. So walnuts are top tier on the nuts when it comes to omega-3s. And then a whole slew of foods that contain soluble fiber. So these will all be plant foods because fiber is only found in plant foods. And that would be oats, beans, lentils, and all of these help with lowering the cholesterol in our body. And when it comes to beans, all kinds of beans are great and sources of soluble fiber. And then here's the third one. It comes every time. I've never ever not said this. Fruits and vegetables. So fruits and vegetables across the board, source of soluble fiber, insoluble fiber, antioxidants, phytonutrients, so that's plant nutrients or phytochemicals, beneficial nutrients within those foods, fruits, and veggies. And I always want to put at the top of the list from a heart health perspective is certainly avocados. So great source of healthy fats. Now, as I said at the get-go, we're looking beyond food today. So while what you eat matters, it is only one piece of the puzzle. So lifestyle factors like stress, sleep, and movement all have a direct impact on our heart health, and in some cases, just as important as diet. So I'm going to break those 3 things down a bit more and then give you some quick tips to help implement things to manage these. So number 1, stress and heart health. Now, we all know stress is not good for us. But did you know it can literally impact your heart? chronic stress, regardless of the source, raises levels of cortisol and adrenaline. And these hormones can lead to increased blood pressure, and not just in that short term, but overall, long term. It can raise inflammation levels in our body. It can lead to unhealthy coping behaviors like emotional eating, excessive drinking or excessive consumption of alcohol, and people who don't smoke anymore sometimes will go back to smoking when they have stress they're trying to manage. And I always thought this was so interesting because smoking increases the stress response in our body. It is so not good for us. Now, studies consistently indicate that these higher levels of these stress hormones are significantly associated with higher risk of cardiovascular diseases compared with lower levels of stress hormones. And these studies look at both men and women. They look at the sources of stress, so from work stress to environmental stress to other stress factors. It's consistent. Stress has an impact here. So, few things I want to just say quick tips here on managing stress. These are not deep dive, but you can do more on your own with a deep dive. Number 1, practice deep breathing or meditation. Just 5 to 10 minutes a day of mindfulness can help lower blood pressure and reduce cortisol levels. And if you're in a situation where you need to reduce that stress, but of course you can't do meditation like driving a car, that's where the deep breathing comes in. And that's where I encourage you or remind you, that's where you just breathe in deeply through the nose, hold it, and then out through the mouth. Ideally for the count of 4 to 6 with each one. Now don't pass out while you're driving though. All right, number 2, set those boundaries. So reduce those stress triggers by limiting work after hours, saying no when you need to, prioritizing self-care. That's just, you've got to decide what those boundaries are. And something I've noticed online more recently is as people are being told they cannot work from home and they have to go back to the office to work, some people are saying that they're also setting that boundary. If they're not allowed to work from home, they're not checking their email after hours, they are not answering work phone calls or text after hours if they're not allowed to work from home. Now, that's up to you if you want to set that boundary, but I think it's fabulous. And then number 3, I'll be getting into this a little bit more, but stress management, moving your body. That physical activity, that movement, that increasing your heart rate helps release endorphins, which can combat stress. So even a 10-minute walk can make the difference. That's where if you're in a stressful situation, just disconnect yourself from that situation and go for a 10-minute walk. It's going to make a big difference. It'll help you think more clearly and hopefully be able to manage the situation better. Doesn't mean the situation will go away, but manage it better. All right, next up is sleep and heart health. When life gets busy, we often tend to sacrifice sleep. But poor sleep is a major risk factor for heart disease. Inadequate sleep has been linked to higher blood pressure, increased risk of obesity and type 2 diabetes, and higher inflammation levels, which can damage the arteries. So these are all things that can really be profound when we're not getting enough sleep. And I just want to mention, when we're sleeping, that is when the body and the brain are doing the repair and maintenance, doing all that stuff that needs to be taken care of when we're at rest. Now, studies show that getting fewer than 6 hours of sleep per night may increase the risk of cardiovascular disease compared to those who sleep between 7 and 8 hours. So I hear often people say they can get away, they only need 4 hours sleep, they only need 6 hours sleep. They may think that's true. But the studies consistently show that is probably not accurate, that they are still increasing their risk of heart disease, even if they think they just need 4 to 6 hours of sleep. And then poor quality sleep increases the risk of atherosclerosis, the plaque buildup in the arteries throughout the body. So even if you're in bed for the 7 to 8 hours, if you're not getting good quality sleep, that's still not a good thing. So here are my 3 tips for improving sleep for heart health. Is stick to a sleep schedule. Going to bed and waking up at the same time each day really helps regulate your internal clock. So going to bed and waking up, even on the weekends, if you can do that, is really ideal to have that same routine Monday through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Another tip is limiting screen time before bed. So blue light from devices disrupts our melatonin production. That's the hormone that helps regulate sleep. And that blue light or the melatonin disruption makes it harder to fall asleep. So disconnect from the screen, ideally 30 to 60 minutes before going to bed. And if you can, don't have that blue light in the bedroom. In our house, we have an old school alarm clock for when the alarm is needed, not having the phones in there. Now, I recognize not everybody can do that, but if you can, you give it a shot. And then number 3, create a wind down routine. So this is something I've been doing for more than a year now, and it's really helped with the prior one, the limiting the screen time. So the wind down routine, that can be reading, that can be stretching, it could be a warm bath, something to help signal your body that it's time for rest. So my wind down routine is shutting things down. I've been trying to read more this past month or so, a physical book rather. And then about 30 minutes before my bedtime, stopping that, going upstairs, writing down my to-do list for the next day, then going and doing my self-care routine, washing my face, brushing my teeth, lotion, hand lotion, lip balm, all that good stuff. And by then, it's done, time for bed. And I don't go back downstairs. What works best for you? A wind down routine. Yeah, that may sound ideal. Hey, I've laughed about it for years, and in the last year, little over a year now, that's what I've been doing. And then this year, to be able to do a better wind down routine and have some more solo or being focused on one thing is reading a physical book to help be focused and not multitask. And that wind down routine is part of that. All right. The third one is exercise and heart health. So, regular physical activity is one of the most powerful things you can do for your heart. You've heard it before. There's just no way to emphasize this more because it is so significantly beneficial for our heart. The American Heart Association recommends at least 150 minutes of moderate exercise per week. And it's not just the American Heart Association. It's the American Diabetes Association. It's the American Cancer Society. It's the Physical Activity Guidelines for Americans. At least 150 minutes. That's 30 minutes, 5 days a week overall. Yet many people struggle to meet this goal. And the benefits of exercise, as I mentioned, it helps with stress management, but it helps our heart by helping to lower blood pressure and cholesterol, improving circulation, and strengthening that muscle that is so vital to our health, the heart. And yes, when we are exercising, the blood pressure and the circulation is faster or higher, but that's a good thing. It recovers pretty quickly afterwards. Now, I want to say this. I hear people who comment about this. They know someone who died while doing a form of exercise. Yeah, I've known a couple. I even had a grandfather who did that. Not like he did it on purpose. It happened. It happens. But in those cases, it was not likely the exercise that did it. The exercise may have even prolonged their life. Then if they hadn't been exercising, it would have affected them earlier if they had heart disease. So that is not an excuse to not do exercise. There's way more benefits than a risk. So let's get this, the 3 tips to move more without needing to go to the gym. Make it part of your daily routine. Walk while taking phone calls. Take the stairs. Park further away. The amount of times I see people taking an elevator 1 floor away is astonishing. And I understand there are reasons people do need to take the elevator and not the stairs. But these are people I know who are able-bodied. Where I used to work, there was a 3-story building. I saw people at the elevator every single time. And I was going into the cold stairway. Some of us did that. Okay? Park further away. Yeah, my favorite place to park is next to the cart corral or as near to it as I can. So I'm not worried about being close to the front door. I'm worried about how far I'm going to have to walk to put the cart away from my car. That's my big priority there. All right, find what works for you. Find something you enjoy. So another thing is find something you enjoy. Dancing, yoga, hiking, whatever keeps you active. I also know that some people have made the decision that there's only certain television shows that they'll watch while they're doing their exercise. So whether at their gym or I have my bike on a stationary setup at home, there's only certain shows that I watch while I'm doing that. And most of them are hour-long shows, or at least the 46 minutes if I'm able to skip through commercials. Whatever you can do to stay active. And then number 3, I mentioned this earlier, is break it up. 3 10-minute sessions a day are just as beneficial as one 30-minute workout as long as you are getting your heart rate up. So that's where we encourage the talk test. If you can't speak, you're doing too much. It's too high. But if you're able to talk like I'm talking right now, you need to step it up a notch. It needs to be a little bit challenging to talk, but you can still do it. I was watching an episode of Malcolm in the Middle the other day, and I think it's Stevie, Malcolm's friend, who always had trouble getting a full sentence out without being out of breath. That's how it should be when you're exercising. So, with that, while diet plays a huge role in heart health, it is absolutely, positively not the only factor. Managing stress, getting quality sleep, and staying active are essential for protecting your heart. So these are important things, and I understand, as some of these things over the years have been things where I have worked on for a long time. It takes time if it's something you need to work on. And I just want to say this, if you're ready to take control of your heart health beyond food, although food is a big part of it, I'd love to work with you. We can talk about how to create a plan that's tailored to your needs, from the food, the exercise, the stress management, the sleep quality. These are all things that I've dealt with over the years as a dietitian. So if you want to talk about this, you can schedule a free introductory call with me. You can just go to the link that I have in the show notes, or you can go to shelleyryel.com. If you go to the contact page, that's where you can find the link to schedule your call. All right, and with that, don't forget to subscribe or follow the Real World Nutrition Podcast so you never miss an episode. I do these episodes so they drop every Friday morning. You should have them in your podcast feed when you wake up on Fridays, especially if you're getting that good quality sleep. And you can find all of those prior episodes at my website at shelleyryel.com, or I've been downloading these on all the various podcast apps from the get-go. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. You take care, and bye for now.